In this video, the Delica is a work truck, a slightly broken one. So what we're doing today is transporting some Tercel parts, because I was meant to collect these ages ago, and it's quite a lot of parts. As you can see, we've got millions of doors, we've got bits of plastic trim, there's a couple of tailgates in there, some front wings, all sorts going on. These metallic blue ones are especially nice condition, so I hope they're going to be okay with traveling like this. It is a lot of stuff, but I've sold all that along with the Tercel itself. That's due to be collected on Saturday. I'm going to have to do another run because there's even more bits to get yet. I mean, being Tercel, they're still rotten, but I reckon these are better than what's on the car. Might be a better basis for restoration. The trip isn't without issue though. This caliper is nice and warm. I don't really want to touch that wheel, so in typical HubNut style, I think once I've unloaded all this at the unit, or before I do maybe even, I'm going to have to get this off, because I know what's happening here. The pads are jammed in the carrier itself. So what I might do, having watched a very useful informational video by South Main Auto in New York, thank you to whoever it was on Patreon who sent me that link, yeah, I have a better understanding of how all the hardware and the caliper carriers work and what jams them up, and I think that's what's happening here. I think especially the inner pad is jamming in the carrier and not retracting, so we'll see if we can free that off. I might get the carrier off, give it a bit of a file, bit of a clean up, get it back on. Hopefully that'll do as a temporary fix. I do actually have new pads and discs in here, but fitting them today, not really going to be an option, I don't think. It's just going to take too long to do. I haven't got time. I need to get back, get this second load, and then I'm going to get all the way back to where I live, which is, as I've said before, 90 miles away, sorry, 90 minutes away from my unit, 50 miles it turns out. So yeah, we're going to go and do that now, and yeah, and probably have some lunch as well. But it's a lovely day, as you can see, here in paradise yet again. And I do like getting into this vehicle. You have such a commanding driving position, and yeah, all is well. So going to get to the unit, and we'll have a look at these brakes. Oh, I've definitely got the red colour of overheating going on there. That one, it's nice and free. Yeah, that one is. Yeah, that shouldn't be like that. That's still very hot as well, which makes this job all the more fun. So this is the problem area, these metal clips, and I suspect what I need to do is get these off and then clean up all this properly so that the clips fit properly. Not good. Might see if we can get the whole carrier off. Well, with the caliper carrier off, it certainly is not in great shape, but it's primarily this area here that we're interested in. Nothing else really matters, although honestly parking these in the sea might be a better idea than refitting them, but they're what I have. So I'm going to try and clean them up and put a bit of lube underneath them, but not on the brackets I've removed, and we'll see if that improves matters. Apologise for the flickering, I'm trying to illuminate the scene with an LED light. Well, I would in no way describe these as perfect, but I think they're a lot cleaner than they were. What happens is the corrosion builds up, oxide creates space, pushes the clips down, which then squeeze the pad too much, and the pad can't back off. So we'll get that refitted. Oh, sorry, I'm just mopping my brow. It is scorching today. If you haven't seen it yet, by the way, I bought a Yugo Sana, and this is the Toyota Tercel that I've been getting the spare parts for, so that'll be off to a new home. This is my Invacar. I've driven this around Goodwood and through the centre of London, and we're well overdue further adventures. 2CV is still here, The garage has fitted a wheel bearing to the other brake drum, so I can crack on with that next time I'm down here. And then as the Matiz and the Fox, progress will be at some point on those. And for now, I want to get this back on and see if we've got proper working brakes on the Delica, because I've still got another load of spares to bring over. Oh grief, I'm hot. So these are what are called hardware. These are the things that go over those bits I was polishing, and the pad runs back and forth on there. And apparently one test is to see whether these are made of good metal. You want them made out of stainless. Stainless isn't magnetic. These appear to be, so it would suggest they're made out of rubbish metal. But all I can do is clean these up in much the same way, and replace them when I fit the new discs and pads, which isn't happening today because I need to be working now. And if you'll excuse the state of me, it's really hot and sweaty today. That is always the issue. There are plenty of us who would love to have the perfect brakes, but you're constrained by time, expense and everything. So I don't feel the brakes, once I get this binding issue sorted, are unsafe, despite the fact the discs and pads look awful. I accept it probably doesn't stop quite as well as when it was factory fresh, but I think it will be good enough, and I think it would quite easily pass an MOT, although an MOT test doesn't really push the brakes all that hard, to be honest. It's amazing how rubbish brakes can be and still pass. But more to the point, I think that is capable of holding itself down to a stop in a manner I'm happy with, because, you know, it's not just my life I'm risking here, it's other road users. And to a certain extent, I think it's better to know you've got slightly iffy brakes than all the millions of people who know nothing about cars who are driving around with absolutely knackered brakes. You know, people who don't realise that scraping sound is because there is no friction material left. We've even known people wear disc brakes through, so there's just a metal ring banging around. It's frightening what's out there. So I think it's better to have some knowledge, and I'm learning as much as anyone's learning. I'm not a mechanic. I've not been spending 20 years in the business. I'm learning as I go. I love the comments because the comments are instructive on the most part, so I can learn more. I watch people like Main Auto and suddenly it's like, oh yeah, okay, that's making sense. But anyway, I'm just getting hotter and hotter, so I'm going to clean these up, grease beneath these and refit. I've cleaned these up as best I can, clean this area up. I'm going to apply this stuff on here, but not on the sliding faces. I'm going to leave those bare, and might clean up the pads just a bit as well, and it should run nicely on that groove, because that's what's going on. If I just try and get that in a place I can rest the pad on, the pad the other way around is sitting in that groove and needs to be able to move back and forth. You can see it's actually doing that quite easily now, but it certainly wasn't doing that on here. Apply a bit of brake cleaner there while we're here as well. Never done any harm. So yes, I'll be looking forward to saying goodbye to these discs. Well, a fairly simple job, but look at the difference. The pads are now entirely free to move. I haven't got to use a lever to get that one out. It's all good. So we just put a bit of the Mintex stuff on the back of here, and the back of that pad, and yeah, I think these pistons will be alright. I think they're crusty on the outside, so I might just run the file across those and maybe across there as well, just to be extra sure. But this should cure the binding issues for sure. Well, there we go again, it's back together. It seems to rotate. It doesn't rotate particularly well, even when you've got no pads in. Makes me wonder about this front diff, but nonetheless it's better than it was. I think we'll just chuck the wheel on and just give it a double check with that. Well, it's moment of truth. We've just travelled a few miles at good pace. Oh, I'm going to put my hand on the brake. Hurrah! That means we've had great success. Some more yeah, bodgery if you like, but we have improved the situation. We identified the problem and dealt with it. Obviously it is not a permanent fix. I still have discs and pads to do front and rear on this car. I'm pondering what to do with the front calipers. I think they'll be okay, to just push them back, exercise a bit, and but we'll see. Won't be the end of the world if I end up throwing calipers and new carriers at it as well. But incidentally, you may recognise this lay-by, because the last time I was here I was test driving a Citroen Zara Picasso, where one that was so rubbish I didn't buy it. I went and bought a City Rover instead, and there we go. Talking of City Rover, it has gone, so there'll be a separate video to say goodbye to the City Rover. But we're done here with the Delica. I'm just on the second run now. I'm going to get that done, running out of time, busy old day. So thank you very much for watching. I'm sorry if my bodgery scares you, and I shall see you in a future video. Farewell.